Welcome to an upload of Steel Talk and Iron Responses. This is the first week of October, and it's in the 80s. This is just still some bananas stuff. I don't know if it's global warming, global cooling. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna enjoy it as long as it's here. The last uploads we did from here, Sugar Hill, Edgecombe, was really very informative. I like the feedback I got. When you're moving and you're going just right off the cuff to a certain degree, you're obviously pulling from solid knowledge, but there's always going to be little things that may be missed, and especially for the last upload. And there's one point I want to really stress that I don't think I went into enough. That was the self-defense upload. I didn't in any way want to be, cavalier about the possibility of a confrontation or physical altercation. I want to stress and emphasize that is the last option, very last. And as I said, with the option of, the deception where it gets you in position to do things if you have to. But even without that, please have in mind there's not a material possession you own that is worth your health or your life. So if there is a situation where you are able to give away or hand away, well, let me change hand. That's why I want to go over that. But if you are able to have that item given to someone who unfortunately may be there to threaten you with bodily harm to get an item from you, it is the utmost of wisdom to release that item. There's nothing, a computer, an iPod, even if you're getting carjacked, there's not a material item worth your health or your life. And to go back when I said don't hand, this is another part of the tactic. With that philosophy in mind, okay, let me just get this nut from away from me. This person, obviously they ain't right, because they up in here trying to, take stuff instead of working for it like everybody else do. But you would never, somebody said use your wallet, you never hand the wallet, you never hand. This is what you do, and you do it in a panic way. You toss it, you throw it. Whatever that item is, if it's a chain, throw it on the ground. Your purse, drop it. When I say drop, discard it. Make sure you toss whatever the item is sufficiently away from you. Because then, once, you want to get away from someone in front of you trying to do harm. So throwing the item, if that's all they want, they're going for item, you're going for safety. You're getting away from that dangerous encounter. That is always a much better option than, no matter how skilled you are. It's just, it's not something you want to play with. Now, everything else I said from the self-defense is full effect, because sometimes you will throw it and that person is still there. Then their intention is something else. Now, they want to do something to you, especially women. Now, there are sexual predators out there. So if you're in front of somebody now, okay, they ain't trying to rob you, or they robbed, or they got their item, and they're still pursuing you. Now, all I said is on. You're going to strike hard, and without any hesitation. As soon as they close that gap, as soon as you see that opportune target, whether that's the trachea, whether that's the eyes, or whether as you bring your hands up, you come down with a hammer fist, right, center face, you're going to strike with everything you have, because at that point, your life is at risk. So now this person, aside from trying to get some material gain from you, they're seeking to physically do something else to you. So now it's on. And you're going to do whatever you have to neutralize that person. Same objective, to get away. This ain't UFC. Okay, I got that one. This ain't a battle. This is, I'm immobilize you so I can get away from you. Because I've released the object you asked for. I've given the money. I've given the chain. I've dropped the bag. And you still are in front of me seeking to do harm. So then all those techniques are. And remember, get the rice bag. And it's something that's so easy. All four fingers support themselves so well. The first few times it's going to feel funny. But after the second, third week, you're going to be just hitting that bag with a level of velocity. Remember, in fleshy areas, it only takes 3-4 pounds of pressure to really go into an inch and a half. And that's all you need to just really disrupt the trachea, disrupt breathing, swallowing, to cause that person to go into a situation where they're feeling like they are choking. So have that in mind. Discard it. If discarding it doesn't get that person away from you so you can have time, then you have to go in for what you know. Again, mace is and mace is legal here in New York. You can verify that. But anyway, I wanted to make sure that I covered that. The fitness stuff, the upper body, the abs. Remember, before doing the exercises I suggest, or before starting any exercise program, you always want to get a general physical, especially if you haven't had one in a year or two. Many physical ailments can manifest without symptoms. You know, they call high blood pressure the silent killer for a reason. Gives you no symptoms. You can be feeling fine, and next thing you know, you're falling out. And you'll find out later till it was a stroke or it was some kind of negative occurrence that you had, because some of y'all don't monitor your pressure. You know you have an issue with your blood pressure, but you're not disciplined about it. When I say discipline, one, making nutritional changes that don't agitate that condition, managing your stress better, doing things like exercise. So you're not doing that, and you're still not going to keep up with it. At least know when you're having a bad day. Some of you know the signs. Some of your vision gets affected. Some of you feel numbness on different sides of your face. Sometimes there's tingling in your appendages. There are different things where your body's saying there's a pressure issue. And some, you know, I gotta go. I want to go to the party. I want to go to this. It's so interesting. But no one, you know, the thing is, we always think it's going to turn out okay. And I don't mean to bring this brother up in a way, in any way to besmirch his choice, but he made a choice that many do. And this is related to our good brother Heavy D. There was a medical situation that manifested while he was in flight on the plane. Now, the thing, as soon as that plane landed, he should have went to the hospital. But you know, you're on the road. Who doesn't want to get home? Who does? I do it in the morning. But you know, your body sometimes doesn't give you that option. And that's why you want to have a team around you that it's like, nah, let's check this out. If you ain't got equipment at your house, and that's another good investment. A pressure equipment, the wrist one isn't the most accurate, but if that's all you got your hands on, that'll at least give you some baseline data. But definitely get the cuff that goes around the arm so you can get accurate from the brachial pulse. Have a device. And I think if he had something like that at home and saw his numbers was bananas, I think they would took him immediately to the hospital. So again, when your body's giving you these signs, you want to make sure you take appropriate action and protect your health. Your health is your wealth. I know you might be tired, you might be this, but there's nothing you got to get to, no place you got to go, nothing you need to do that's more important than addressing a vital sign that your body is giving. And to do that is being less than responsible and self-care. That's not taking care of yourself, you know? So listen to that inner voice that's telling you, something a little different about this. Or this is it lasted longer this time. Or no, this never happened. You know, things are going on that that's letting you know that your body or that condition is starting to escalate. You know, don't play with that. Some instances, if you're very attuned, there's some people who know exactly what to do. I've had clients who are anemic. They know the signs. They see their palms start to get white. They find themselves being, some get very thirsty. Some get a little woozy or a little lightheaded. Some get a little nauseated. Know what the signs are when your body is starting to manifest symptoms of a condition that you already know you have. And if you aren't able to address it with, unfortunately, the pharmaceuticals, if that's what you're already prescribed, but if you don't have processes in place that you can engage that you know will reduce those negative symptoms and bring that condition back under control, you need to get to an emergency care. And even bringing it to control while you go to emergency care, because a lot of times a person can expire on their way to getting emergency care. Find out the things you need. So definitely want to add that again for the self-defense. There's nothing you own worth your life. If you have an item on you that someone is in front of you threatening you to take, discard it, get it as far away from you. Once they go for that, you go and get yourself far away from that person. Seek help, seek what you need, You can pursue that stuff later if you still want it, but get yourself away. Maintain your health. So yeah, that's what I definitely wanted to recap that. And also, just like the rice bag would help you work with your vision strike or with your trachea. Another strike, the hammer fist, and a hammer fist can work anywhere. You can, you can, there's any, you just pound on it. And you pound, let's say again, with the rice is 10 on the desk, on the table. You want to get this so conditioned. So it's like a mallet. And it doesn't matter the size, because, obviously, the average female hand is a lot smaller. But you work 10 strikes on some wood, 2-3 weeks. You'll be surprised the kind of devastation you have if you need it. So all those things I hope are helpful. I like the feedback I got. Matter of fact, knowledge I got, I think the last installment, the self-defense, was the one that's got the most responses. So I appreciate the feedback I've gotten, and keep it coming. Also, let us know what else you want. Your feedback lets us know what other areas you want to see. You want to see featured. My main focus, I'm speaking to the brothers, but the whole community in general. But it's unfortunate, especially as black men, our sojourn in this society. I mean, it's so interesting. All of the things I said about being aware, because I said your first line of defense is your mind, is your awareness. And I said, ladies coming out, 2 earplugs in, bouncing to the music, not being aware. It was a story in the news in New York, in the New York area. A woman, unbeknownst, now I don't know if she had headsets or not, but she definitely was not aware of her surroundings. And just walking, which you should have a right to. I'm not trying to make her doing anything wrong. You should be able to walk down carefree down the sidewalk. Why not? But unfortunately, this society makes it that that's not a luxury you want to overextend. So, and there was a young man who observed her, tracked her for a little while. Once he got in a position where he felt he can get away, picked up some speed, snatched her bag, and ripped it off her shoulder. But in this instance, she held on to the bag. So they got into a tug of war. This is a relatively young man. So he pulls her off the sidewalk and almost into the street. She's still holding on, Now, in this instance, it worked out in her favor. He got frustrated and ran off. But that's not the gamble you want to have. You don't want to know if this guy going to come and now reach for something, or he's so angry and filled with so much hate now. Oh, you're going to defy me? And you just don't know what kind of psyche you're dealing with. Let the bag go. Be observant, so give a good description. And I've seen some things people have been caught within an hour if you get the information out. But you never want to put yourself in that position. One, don't be unaware to get in a confrontation. If you get in a confrontation, let whatever that item or that article go. There was something else in the news, again, that's a little disturbing, and it kind of hits close to home. Most in New York will probably notice. I don't believe this made it to national news. But right on the 59th Street construction site, there was a murder-suicide. Now, the dynamics behind this is there was a young man, well, I'm saying young man, he was 44. He was working at the site as a carpenter. Now, through some type of infraction of the rules or some type of behavior that the foreman at that site found worthy of termination, he was let go. Upon being let go, he returned to that very same site 2 days later at 7 a.m. seeking out that foreman. Upon finding the foreman, he immediately shot him dead. Now, he tried to escape, get away. They ended up cornering him, and he committed suicide. Now, the reason this story hits close to home, one of, y'all know I train, that's my company, that's my business, that's what I do. One of the most lucrative contracts that I got earlier in my company's career was for the Carpenters Union, right down on Hudson Street. This is going back a while. This is about 15, 20 years ago. The city had launched a program towards the NYCHA housing residents, and they were recruiting young men from those houses to become apprentices and enter the unions. Now, what they was experiencing is so many of the young men, construction, carpentry it's labor intensive. You need a certain level of conditioning to endure that kind of work. So a lot of the young men weren't cutting the mustard. It worked out perfectly. The person who was the director of that program happened to be a client of mine, and good brother Mark Holbrook. And he said, Herman, man, these young guys, they vomiting, they falling out, they're not handling it. Could you put something together? I said, sure. He said, put together a proposal, have it on my desk in a few days, and let's see what we can do. Put the proposal together, gave them the numbers, and it was lovely. I end up, not just for myself, I end up having 6 independent contract trainers working under me to facilitate, because it was a major program. It was citywide. So they had hundreds of young men entering. Even with my assistance, still some failed out. They just, young people think they can eat pizza, hamburger, and drink soda all day and think that's the kind of fuel that's going to give them. But the majority, upwards of 70–80%, took advantage of that knowledge that was given, took advantage of the information related to getting their bodies fit, and went on to have excellent careers. So, that gentleman was 44. That he would have been in his 20s, mid to late 20s during the time. And it's a very high chance that he could have been one of the people that I worked with. So when I heard this story, it was like, whoa. It just, now obviously, murder-suicide. I mean, look at those two, horrendous acts. To feel so dismal about your own situation, to want to take your life, but to have so much anger and contempt towards someone else based on any action that they did that's not related to trying to harm you, to go there to take their lives. So you're already dealing with someone who could not have been on a really solid emotional base. But many instances, we don't know how delicately balanced things are in someone's life. I've heard stories related to a relationship ending will set people, and it's usually men. Women are much less likely to take on that kind of murderous, vengeful act when either a relationship ends, they lose a job. I think women are more able to comfort themselves or have circles that they can be comforted in. Where men, a lot of times we are these solo soldiers, got to be tough, keep your feelings in, and then when things come up that you can't deal with, you end up going over the edge and making irrational choices. So with that in mind, as I mentioned to you before, knowledge of God, I want to, that plus the feedback, I want to start putting together a men's group that I'm going to start collecting information via email about brothers, their age, their career, married, children, whatever their particular challenges may be in their life. And I'm trying to get a group of 10 right now that will meet. I'm not certain if it will be weekly or bi-weekly, where we will have 2 hours. The first hour would be composed of us working out together, us doing a series of exercises at a level that everyone can do. So a brother thinking about coming in, don't say, man, I can't, I'm not in shape, I can't. You will get in shape with this process. After the first hour, once the exercise portion, then we'll spend that second hour sitting and fellowshipping with each other, speaking about what's on your mind, and that could cover anything. And there's a whole bunch of issues that men really don't get a chance to speak to other men about. There's things going on with their body. There's things related to their relationships. I want to create a safe environment. There's things related to their sexual performance. Again, some of these ailments, diabetes, high blood pressure, sometimes the meds that they give you to address that triggers impotence in a lot of men. So there are stresses that men are dealing with. Who can they talk to about that? There are things related to anger management that a lot of men are just at that place where they don't have an outlet. So with these weekly or bi-weekly meetings, first, again, get that workout in. Use that as the first thing to get some of that load, to spend some of that pent-up energy. Once that has been expended, create an atmosphere where you can speak freely about any challenge that's going on in your life. Now, this men's group, right, specifically for black men, And I'll say that to be excluding others, but in some ways, I am. This is for us. We need a safe space. So this will be again, weekly or bi-weekly, right here at Edgecombe Avenue 409 at my studio. As we conclude our portion out here in Edgecombe Avenue, we're going to go in. Also, I got some great meals I'm going to put together for you all. I ain't no cook. Matter of fact, the last time I tried to boil water, I burnt it. So, you know, but guess what? I gets it in. Now I'm going to show you all some really quick things that y'all can make related to salads. Now, if you got a queen up in your crib hooking you up, then you good. But, yo, she might be late for work one day, or she might be on vacation. So you got to get some skills that can get you something you can put together healthy, and that will be nourishing and filling. So we're going to cover both those as we go into the studio. But when I heard the news story, and it said the Carpenters Union, it just, you know, it was just, I saw hundreds of men come through there. And the beautiful thing is, I'm riding and training through New York, I ran into several of them in there, you know, tool belt and, you know, helmet, construction hat, and, you know, brother. I mean, to be honest, I mean, all those faces, I couldn't remember everybody. But yeah, man, remember you taught us to exercise, man. I still do that today, brother. Yo, man. I said, yo, how's it working out? Man, it's lovely. You know, so those were the good stories. So when I heard this one, I was like, woof. You know, how could something like that happen? But most of you listening right now, that work at a job, really, is there any issue related with the job description, the job, what you have to do to earn that paycheck? Most people do it great. Even that gentleman, they said he was a good worker. As they was given the description, good worker. They said he was a little bit of a hothead, but they said good worker. Most of y'all do the job well. It's the politics in some of these jobs. It's the head games. There's some jobs they play head games with you. They play favoritism with you. You know, and who knows what the motive behind it. You know, they cannot like you for whatever reason. You're black, you're Spanish, your age. You might not like it because you're straight. And they might not like it because you're gay. Might not like it because you make more money than them. Or it's just a whole bunch of things that sometimes on a job, somebody will create an untenable situation for you to comfortably work in. And many of you listen know exactly what I'm talking about. You have a job you go to that one or two people may just be, you know, on you for stuff that's like, you know, why you riding me? And if there's not a good union, or if there's not a good human relations, as far as making a complaint or having that follow through, you can be left feeling you have no recourse, or you feel just fun. Go to a job. Many of us go to jobs that we hate already. You don't like the job, but now someone is going out of their way. Matter of fact, it would even come into a category of adult bullying, because, you know, it's a similar dynamic to a lot of children who start to not want to go to school. Because why? You got somebody up in there, you know, in your face, you know, hitting you, taking stuff from you, humiliating you. Who wants to go to a school? You go there to learn. You don't go there to have someone set upon you every time they see you. So again, the job, that can be the adult version of bullying. There's people who will go out their way to humiliate coworkers, and even it could be a supervisor going out their way to humiliate a subordinate. And I'm not saying any of that was at play here. I'm just throwing out certain scenarios that do exist in a work environment. And if you're in a position where other things ain't really right in your personal life, or you have other stresses coming from different areas, that might be the last little straw that takes you right over the edge to do something that you will regret for the rest of your life, if you still have life by the time you go over the edge based on the stress caused by those conditions. So
that's for myself, like, I think it's real hard too for people, like, having a perception of what their life wants to be, and then being in a job that you're like just not happy being at. Even if you do it well or whatever, some people just aren't happy being at a job, and they feel like, damn, I'm giving all of my life to this, but you know what I'm saying? And especially getting fired, probably putting in 15 years in a job, knowing in 5 more years I might retire or something, and then you get fired or something. Like, yeah, especially if it's like, I don't even like this job, and these people got me going crazy. Like, knowing all that, because I could imagine giving my life to something, and then just for someone to just tell me I can't do it, You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, and you don't know what you're going through in your personal life,
Right,
emotionally.
right. Especially if it's unjust.
Yeah.
If you feel you were fighting unjustly,
Yeah.
I mean,
That
you know,
drive you nuts.
yeah, if you're on a job, you stealing, or you on a job, you know, you late 2 times a week. I mean, there's some things you're like, oh, how long do you think you was going to work there? Continue to do that.
Yeah.
But since some folks really work well, and because, as I said, someone has it in for you, they will either make sure you get the most of distasteful parts of the job, send you off places where, you know, get you to do the dirty work all the time, get you to do, and I've seen that happen, you know, many times. So in that instance, so yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. I mean, you got to be resilient. I mean, you know, crazy stuff gonna happen. You gonna get fired. You're gonna get cheated. You're gonna be, you know, you're gonna be cheated on. You're gonna be short chains. You're gonna be lied about. You know, none of that stuff is nice. But you got to find a way. If there's a way to get justice in place, do it. There's not an apparent way to. You know, I mean, I've left situations where, you know, I had to take a loss. It was just like the deck was stacked. You know. But see, for me, I tend to balance that. I think about all the times that I have had favor. You know, I've been in situations where I've had favor. You know, even again with the contract. You know, by my client being the director of that program, that gave me, you know, I was in. I had to put together a solid proposal, and the numbers had to be right. But, you know, by him knowing my qualifications and knowing that I could provide it, you know, it made it easy. So that's a fit. So I think of all the favors I have. So when something goes against me, and somebody just like, yo, that ain't right, you know, but I got, okay, hey, you know,
more, right?
yeah, and okay, I got the favor. This time I'm getting knocked. I don't like it, but you got to keep on trucking. You can't let one incident, no matter how devastating it may seem, disrupt your flow. You got to regroup, refocus, get back on task. And I'm not saying doing this instantly. Yeah, you may have to go and lick your wounds for a while. You might have to go, you know, be, you know, in a little solitude. Or be around people who can understand and give you a kind of environment that you can find refuge. You know, refuge is so important. You know, especially when you're under assault. I mean, look at the military. You know, the military, they cycle their soldiers in and cycle them out. Because you can't be on that front line all the time, without it breaking you down. You know, you have to get a furlough. You have to get away, get some R&R. You know, go on leave. So you think you can work week in, week out, month in, month out, year in. And here, you know, in the States, you get 2 weeks. I was interviewing some folks down in Times Square. You know, in Europe, they get 7 weeks vacation. Yeah, 7 weeks. You know, they seem to.
Year, 2 weeks. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and I said, damn, you know, I think being an entrepreneur suits my life because it's hard for me to only get 2 weeks of vacation. Because I need something, like sometimes life is so hard in itself, I need a week just to get my mind back to get engaged.
Yeah.
Just to get engaged again. Like
most do. If you got 2 weeks, the first week, you got to realize you're on vacation.
Yeah.
And by the time you get cozy in it, you got to be back to work the next day. So you work 50 weeks and get 2 off. But that's how the system is set up. And then the other part, you know, you got to regress to your adolescent. Now, if you want a day, you're adult now. You want a day off. You got to make up a good enough line, like you talking to your parent.
Sick days for the week,
yeah,
so you got to cough.
You know,
talking to your boss.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. You know, turn down the music. Yeah. Okay. Come in.
They tell you,
know,
make sure you bring a doctor's bill. You like,
yeah.
Oh, God, damn, I got no time.
You know, whose life is it? This is my life and my time. You know,
that can drive you nuts.
Yeah, drive around. You calling sick? No, calling it well. I don't feel like coming in. How about that? You know, but that takes, you know, who has that option, right? So we're juggling in these situations that 98% do it, but see, they don't realize the kind of effects it may be having, and it could be affecting their personality, affecting their relationship. Oh my goodness, one of the jobs. Woo. And brothers and sisters do it honorably, but knowledge to God, I have seen people transform doing this work in ways that it is like, whoa. And that's corrections, man. I mean,
Like a correctional?
corrections officer. I've seen. I mean, really, kind of lay back, mild-mannered folks. You know, cursing, come very aggressive. Uh, confrontational. And now you think, in a correction officer, look at the psyches you're interacting with all day. You're interacting with people getting at you like that. Now, unless you got this really immovable, unshakable core, it's going to affect you. So, and I've seen it enough times. We need people to do the work. Anyone that I care about, I would say, if you can see some other option, because that kind of work changes who a person is. If you're interacting with people every day that bring such a negative energy to you, and a vile energy, and every day you being called out your name, and different things are going on, and it's just, look at that kind of pressure cooking. Now, okay, you got the hours to work, but now look at the kind of verbal abuse and some physical abuse. These people are getting slashed and beat and attacked. So there's a dynamic. Okay, we all have to find a way to sustain ourselves. Seeking employment is a good thing, but be very careful about the kind of profession that you choose. I think that's been one of the jobs I've seen transform people in ways that have really, really, really frightened me. I mean, two of them I've said, sit down. This is what I've seen in you since I've known you my whole life. You never did this. Never heard you say that. Never seen you conduct yourself like this. Now, those three you do all the time. What's up? Oh, man, well, this is how I gotta be. Okay. So you're gonna work somewhere where you have to be that's corrupting and being something that's weighing and taking your spirit somewhere where you're not able to be a decent human being any longer. At what point is something too high of a price to pay? And again, no disrespect to the brothers and sisters who do that work honorably. And if there's a brother or sister who is a corrections officer and want to give a first-hand account, am I speaking something that may be off-center, off balance, or would you corroborate? Like, yeah, Brother Smalls, that work is rough. And I've even seen changes in me that my family's pointed out. That's the other thing about these uploads. Your comments are so valuable to this process, because you can introduce information that I may not have a chance to speak about, or give a version that sheds light in an area that I may not have. So for anything that I say, while me and Knowledge of God are building, feel free to chime in. That helps shape and drive what some of our future topics will be.
Especially if it applies to you specifically. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Especially if you are a CEO working in prison.
Yeah.
Love to hear your accounts.
Yes.
That's one of the craziest,
Yeah, and right here in New York, Rikers Island, I don't want to get this wrong, but I think Rikers Island could be one of the biggest prisons in the nation. So it's warehousing people. It's warehousing people that are many instances are in a very negative place. Again, it is bound to have some kind of impact. So for this portion, that's what I wanted to do. Wanted to recap. Definitely wanted to speak about the story related to the carpenter, and just go over just anything coming up. That now, the shooting in Las Vegas, that's bananas. How much have you heard about that, or what's your perspective?
All my wishes is